Thank you very much for staying with India Today's non-stop coverage of the Ukraine crisis. It's day 5 and things have escalated dramatically once again. The war machine continues to roll. We've got some big breaking news coming in this morning at 11 a.m. Prime Minister Modi has mandated 4 central ministers to rush immediately to countries bordering Ukraine to personally oversee the evacuation of Indian students and nationals. Ministers Hardeep Singh Puri, Jyotiraditya Scindia, Kiren Rijiju and General VK Singh are the big 4 as part of Operation Ganga, who will now travel within the next few hours to countries neighboring Ukraine to coordinate personally the evacuation and help to students. This comes amidst videos of anguish, of suffering, of isolation, of brutality against Indian students in some of these countries. And Prime Minister Modi has pushed the panic button and sent 4 ministers to personally oversee the evacuation. Poulomi Saha breaking the story. As always, first and exclusive here on India Today. Poulomi, this is a heavy hand. You know, clearly the government has been affected by many of those disturbing videos coming in. The scale of the evacuation is clearly something that needs a greater deal of, coordination. And he's sent 4 of his top ministers there. So I'm assuming they're going to be in 4 different countries. Can you give us more details, Poulomi?
Well, we're awaiting more details as to where they will be headed, but you do know, Shiv, that we're working with and in coordination with at least 4 countries and possibly even more that are, in fact, neighboring Ukraine. So we're working with Romania. We've already been running evacuation missions from Romania, from Bucharest, Hungary, Budapest. We've been running flights from and to and from Budapest. And of course, we're working with Poland. Poland yesterday agreed to let Indian nationals through the border into Poland without any visas. Slovakia, even Moldova, we've spoken to, and they're coordinating with us as well. So we are mounting a massive rescue operation, evacuation operation. Remember, there are at least, when Foreign Secretary Harsh Shringla, in fact, had addressed the media just a few days ago before his second press briefing, his first press briefing I'm speaking about, he had estimated at least 16,000 Indian nationals that were still stuck in Ukraine. And on a daily average, we're bringing back about 700 to 800. So we need to escalate and, in fact, upgrade this mission to a much larger and a bigger level, which is why, besides Air India, we've brought Indigo into the picture as well. Indigo will be mounting flights to Budapest in Hungary via Istanbul. And now, in order to escalate the size of this mission and to ensure better coordination and, of course, effective and speedy evacuation of Indian nationals stuck in Ukraine, especially those who are stuck in the eastern part of Ukraine, in Sumy, in Kharkiv, in Kiev, who are basically, who are caught in the middle of intense firing, who are in intense fighting. They're in the middle, in bunkers. They cannot reach the train stations. We've told them, don't reach the train stations right now. It's absolutely risky for you to be on the roads going towards the train station. So we need to get them all towards the western border, and hence to mount the size of this evacuation, we're sending Ministers Hardeep Puri, Civil Aviation Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia, his colleague in the Ministry of Civil Aviation, General VK Singh, also Kiren Rijiju, to the borders of these countries in order to ensure that we are able to effectively bring back as many Indian nationals as we can as soon as possible, Shiv.
When are the ministers going to leave? Have they already left?
No, we are, of course, waiting for their schedule because, flights are going to Bucharest and Budapest. Well, like I said, Indigo has joined the mission with Air India as well. So they should be leaving anytime soon, on one of those flights towards Bucharest and Budapest. Remember, it doesn't mean that they have to land in the intended country that they have to go to. They could land in Bucharest, all of them on the same flight, and then, of course, drive down to Poland or to Hungary as well. So we're waiting on the flight schedules of the ministers as well. But yes, the Prime Minister is holding a high-level meeting as we speak right now in the Prime Minister's office. And one of the first decisions that's come out of it is deploy these ministers immediately. Let's get on and let's speed up this evacuation mission.
Poulomi, General VK Singh has a lot of experience in this regard. all of the other ministers have done this kind of thing before as well. But General VK Singh and Hardeep Puri perhaps have the greatest amount of experience in overseeing international distress of Indians. General VK Singh very notably, led the entire evacuation from Yemen a few years ago. He was right there on the front lines. So perhaps that's the reason why he and Hardeep Puri in particular have been chosen for this mission.
Absolutely. Like you rightly pointed out, General VK Singh has prior experience in evacuation missions. He, of course, has been part of our armed forces before as well. He has that sense of experience, and he has led this evacuation mission and successfully so previously. And hence, he is part of this mission. He is, of course, a MOS Minister of Civil Aviation right now as well, one of the charges that he holds. So he is definitely, an important hand on the deck as far as this evacuation mission is concerned. As you pointed out, Hardeep Puri, obviously a former diplomat, has a lot of experience in dealing with missions and dealing with embassies and getting things done as fast as possible, knowing the protocol, knowing the groundwork that needs to be done in order to ensure that, things are speeded up and our conversations happen with the missions, with the embassies, so that the distress, that is being felt by Indian nationals who are at the borders, because most of those Indian students are running from the eastern parts of Ukraine and other parts of Ukraine, central parts of Ukraine towards the western border, not knowing which border post to reach, and they're reaching the wrong border post. There's a lot of confusion, some very distressing videos and audio files that have, in fact, reached us as well, which shows that there's chaos. And they need to be, protected as well. So we need to talk to the missions. We need to talk to the Ukrainians as well to ensure that Indian students are, not treated in the manner that we're seeing in some of those videos that, the students who are caught up there are sharing with us. So all of that experience comes, on board as well. Jyotiraditya Scindia, of course, is the Minister of Civil Aviation. So he's been coordinating in terms of the flight operations that we're running, has been constantly overseeing that, throughout. He was, of course, there just a few nights ago in Delhi, receiving that first batch of students that landed from Bucharest in Delhi in the middle of the night. He was there. So he has that experience as well. Kiren Rijiju, of course, one of those ministers who is, of course, also trusted with this as far as this evacuation mission is concerned. He obviously deals with the youth affairs ministry, so he will be able to, of course, coordinate with the students as well. So clearly everyone brings something on board, and hence these four ministers have been chosen, who will be leaving very shortly for these neighboring countries in order to coordinate our evacuation mission, Operation Ganga.
Well, let me stay with me. Big breaking story. 4 ministers being deployed by Prime Minister Modi straight to the border areas of Ukraine to oversee and personally ensure the safety of students from India being pulled out from there. India Today's Ashutosh Mishra is on the Hungary-Ukraine border as well. He's one of our men on the ground. Ashu, big breaking story from here in India. Where you are right now, in the next few hours, perhaps a minister will be standing next to you and watching as students cross over the border, Ashu.
Very trying time. But know this.
Well, good morning, Shiv. I'm here at Zahoni. This is right behind me is the Ukraine and Hungary border post. And just 200 meters, there's a massive crowd of not only the foreign nationals, but also the Ukrainians, including the Indian students. Just a few minutes ago, I spoke to the Indian students who were studying in the university in the western part of the Ukraine, who were somehow managed to reach at Zahoni railway station, and they're trying to connect to the embassies. As far as the mission preparation is concerned, Kumar Tuhin, who is the former ambassador, is in charge of Operation Ganga here in Hungary. And now there are 3 control rooms has been set up. One right behind me, some 100 meters from near the border post. Another at the Budapest airport, and also at the Budapest embassy. Now, out of these control rooms, there are frequent calls. Yesterday, when I visited embassy, almost many of the officials that I met haven't even slept for 48 hours. Call after call they are attending. And somehow the biggest, the concern is that this is now almost -3 to 4 degrees. Literally shivering here, and that too because there's a huge push of Ukrainian nationals, foreign nationals, Nigerians, Indians, almost everyone just trying to evacuate from the western part, coming to the western part, and that is now somewhere clogging the massive crowd at the border outpost. And because of there are some formalities required as far as Poland is concerned, now there could be more crowd because Poland yesterday announced there will be no separate visa or permission required for the Indian students or Indian nationals who are stranded in Ukraine, and they can directly enter into Poland. As far as other European countries countries are concerned, they have also given certain relaxation, but certain paperwork is required, particularly at the Chop area right behind me, where there is a dedicated train that comes from Ukraine to Zahoni. So these issues are, of course, being a biggest hurdle obstruction in this entire massive operation. The Indian embassies, particularly the four countries, be it Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, and Poland. There is all these countries share their borders with Ukraine, and perhaps why there's a massive push. And since now we are also hearing the ministers, the booths will also be on the ground. That will perhaps push the more efforts. At the same time, here in the Hungary, the embassy has roped in these civilians, particularly the Indian nationals who are living in. At this, also there is a cooperation from the Hungarian authority as well in terms of providing logistical support, in terms of coordinating with their counterpart in Ukraine, because all these hurdles are really taking, and moreover the weather adverse condition, and that makes it the biggest challenge to evacuate almost 20,000 stranded Indians in Ukraine who are continuously moving towards the western part of Ukraine. Shiv.
Okay, very, very interesting developments here in India between the borders with Ukraine and here in India. 4 ministers, top-level Modi ministers, are now packing their bags as we speak. They will soon be on Air India flights to those separate countries. They will be in 4 separate locations, we understand. We've got our man there on the Hungary-Ukraine border. That is one of the locations where one of the ministers will go. And as Polami has just detailed, the actual schedule is still coming in. Obviously, Polami will break that first here on India Today. So we're going to stay with the story. We're going to try and get in word from those ministers as well. And we'll try and piece together what precisely they're going to try and achieve once they're there on the ground. Polami, this is going to be a message of great reassurance for the parents of the students as well. Because, you and I, all of our reporters, we've been inundated with messages on social media, on Instagram, everywhere else, saying, please help my child. She's there. This is her number. We've been passing on those details, to all of the embassies. We are doing our bit, to make the connections and not just speak to the students. This act of sending 4 ministers there, Polami, is going to be have a calming effect on the students. It shows action.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It shows action. It shows that the government of India is listening to those pleas that are coming in from the loved ones, the parents of these students who are stuck in Ukraine. Like you pointed out, we're all receiving those pleas. Those are very distressed, helpless pleas that are coming in from various quarters. Some individuals who are very well placed over here in India, but unfortunately feeling very helpless in bringing their kids back, because if they're stuck in the eastern parts of Ukraine, for instance, I mean, with the intense fighting that's going on over there, it's absolutely, impossible to get them out given the situation on the ground right now. So hence that advisory that came in from the Indian mission in Ukraine, that if you're in Kharkiv, if you're in Sumy, if you're in Kiev, please do not head towards the train stations, hoping that you'll board one of the trains towards the western border, because right now it's absolutely dangerous and very risky for you to do that. Because one of the students, for instance, told me that she had to possibly walk 10 kilometers if she had to get to the closest train station. This is Kiev I'm talking about. And my advice again, with that advisory, was please do not do that. You're in a bunker, you're safe. So all of these pleas that are coming in, the government of India has heard these pleas. They do realize that, if you have to get 16,000 Indian nationals out, you have to speed up the scale of this mission, upgrade the scale of this mission, and speed things up as well, and make sure that, the paperwork is not holding anything up on the ground. That we're talking to the missions, making it smooth for the Indian nationals to cross over, into these countries. Because it's not just, there are evacuation flights. There are so many evacuation flights that we can land at a given point of time. But if, for instance, a student was to be able to smoothly cross over the Polish border into from Ukraine into Poland, then you don't need an evacuation flight. Hopefully, the student can even board, if they possibly and can afford it, a commercial flight from Warsaw to India. So, the possibilities are endless if they cross the border. And that is our main, trust and responsibility right now. So that is what the Indian missions are working on the ground. Obviously, they're stretched. At the moment, they're receiving a lot of calls. Like you said, we have been passing on numbers to the MEA control room, to the embassies on the ground, to all of the missions that are working on this right now. But it's a mammoth exercise. And in order to ensure that it happens smoothly, we've put our topmost men on the ground. We're about to put them on the ground in order to ensure that nothing is holding up this mission on the ground. And if a mission needs to be spoken to, if government officials in any of these countries need to be spoken to, we have our ministers on the ground. They're representatives, they're special envoys of the Indian government. They're on the ground and they'll do the talking and they'll ensure that things happen fast.
Thanks very much, Poulomi. Thanks very much, Ashu, for the moment. I'll keep coming back to you. Big development broken first here on India Today. 4 ministers being dispatched.